first we'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening. We'll start with a motion for the consent agenda items, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we hold the support staff transfers and vote on those separately.
Okay, I have a motion that we hold the transfers and vote on those separately.
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. 5-0. Okay. Next, is there anyone here that would like to speak on any item?
The remaining consent agenda items.
Do the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to do the consent agenda?
I make a motion
I have
that
a
we vote
motion.
on the rest of the consent agenda items.
I have a motion from Pat. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Down under the community non-agenda items, is there anyone here that would like to speak on any item on the agenda or any other topic? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. Under old business, we have some programs.
Yes,
Going to present.
I'm just asking for approval for the 2026-2027 elementary Jennings County Middle School and JCHS curriculum materials list. Just a reminder, we do not charge students. However, this would be if they were lost or damaged.
Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion? I have a motion from Mary Lynn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Chelsea. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we'll move on to new business, and there's some Neola.
Yes, thank you. This is just an inform. This is a batch of Neola policies and admin guidelines for first reading. So please reach out if you have any questions.
Okay. Moving on, the next is programs, and we're going to have a presentation on the IHSAA personal branding activities and athletics, and this will be Nikki and Joe.
So I'm going to throw this to Mr. Hartwell, our athletic director. The state's changed some rules for families on what is comparable to NIL that you hear about, name, image, likeness in sports. But in Indiana, it is named something different, personal branding activity. And so since this is such a large change, Mr. Hartwell is going to share with us some information about that for our awareness and for the public's awareness.
Sure. So yeah, as Nikki said, this new rule passed. It was controversial to some, but it's kind of a framework for student athletes to be able to make money off of their name, image, likeness, what we usually hear in the media, but personal branding is what they're saying, what we're saying in Indiana right now. So you hit the slide there for me. So the big difference between what you hear NIL and PBA right now with our high school model is we are going to be out of it. We are not supposed to be a part of this at all. Whereas in the NIL world, the colleges are very much involved with it. So an IU player would have a commercial with an Indiana gear on. In this realm, we are not allowed, or these kids are not allowed to use the school's branding at all. So we are supposed to stay out of it altogether. Now, I think there'll be plenty of challenges to this, and it'll go to courts, and we'll see everyone try different ways to make this work, so it'll change quite a bit. But right now, that's kind of how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be hands-off on this. So what are some permissible personal branding activities, or even think about what could a kid do to make some money off of their own, name or image or whatever? Social media promotions, they could promote something online as long as they're not wearing Jennings County gear. It's just, if you think of a former student athlete and they're on social media and they're representing some sort of brand of something, they could do that, but they just can't have Jennings County, and we cannot be involved in that agreement. They can also offer clinics. And I think that's something that of all of these, like this is the most likely that we would see right now. A former or a player right now is a popular player. I'm thinking basketball is popular. Wants to have a clinic. Wants to put on some sort of clinic to make some money. Right now, that is allowed as long as it's not the Jennings County Panther, so-and-so, hosting this clinic, it's just the name. And right now, they're not allowed to use our facilities. Although, when we had our webinar, there was discussion about using our facilities, as long as they're paying for the facility or to rent it. Right now, they're more leaning, the latest readings I've had is they're saying don't use the school facilities. So we're gonna honor that. We don't wanna we'll let somebody else test that and we'll see how it goes. They can make appearances for companies or businesses as long, again, same thing, they're not wearing Jennings County gear, they're not a Jennings County athlete, they're just a student athlete. And then, obviously, non-athletic employment, they can do any of those, tutoring, whatever. That's obviously allowed, and they would not lose their amateur status, okay? So the big things is they can't have any school affiliation. I can't say that enough. And there are some areas where they just cannot, they're not allowed to promote things things we know, like gambling, alcohol, tobacco, sexual content, things of that nature. They were not allowed to represent those kind of brands. And ultimately, what everybody worries about the most is that last part. The collectives, the people trying to entice people, give people money so they'll come to a school. Obviously, there are people who would love to make their team better, and so they could promote some sort of, we're not going to represent the school, but we're going to try to give you some money and buy like a behind closed doors deal. This is what we're worried about the most of this happening. Obviously, we don't want anybody in my community doing that, but also we're worried about people trying to get our kids to go somewhere else. So but that is prohibited currently in this rule. So some quick examples, social media. You can endorse a brand, but it's your personal image, it's not the school's. If you're wearing a school uniform in that image, that'd be prohibited. It'd be a violation. You could host a clinic, but you have to host it at the park. You could not host it at the school right now. Sponsorship deals. You could represent a local business, but you're acting as your own individual, as an individual. You cannot be receiving funds. I think the most common thing that I'm worried about seeing is a business offers some sort of sponsorship, even if it's just to a kid, not with a school tied to it, but it's really trying to get them to come to a certain school. That cannot be, if there's any, the way that ICSA says right now, if there's any type of activity trying to entice a kid to leave a school or go to another school, that is a violation, okay? And then compensation basis, if you're providing a service, obviously you get paid, but there can't be any incentives for wins or for scoring so many points a game or something like that. You can't be involved in a deal like that, okay? So where does the school come in on all this, and how do we regulate this? Well, right now, the IGSA is saying that if a student athlete were to enter an agreement, they have 48 hours to tell me in writing that they're entering this agreement. And if they do not work within those confines of time, they could be a violation of their amateur status. So that's a big thing that we have to inform our students about, but that is the ruling now. They have to inform me within 48 hours of the deal. So here's kind of the timeline. If they have an opportunity to present itself, and I don't know what that looks like yet, I'm sure we'll see a ton of these things around the state. An opportunity comes up where somebody wants to, provide or use a kid as a sponsor or sponsor a kid. I apologize. I use them for some sort of advertisement. First thing they need to do, and what we're going to try to inform our kids is, you need to look. First of all, is there any school tied to any school? Is there any branding to Jennings County High School, any Panther or whatever, Lady Panther this, Lady Panther that? Is there any category or any branding that is one of the restricted categories? Like, is it about tobacco, alcohol, whatever? We could not do that. If it passed that test, then you need to notify. You make a deal. You need to notify me within 48 hours in writing. If that's the case, we follow all those rules, then a kid could, be sponsored by a local business and still have amateur status at Jennings County High School. Okay. So our obligation, I mentioned it, our obligation is to inform the kids. So we have to, we're going to do it through parent meetings and just inform the parents and the kids about this is what it looks like. The kids in the family have to obviously pay taxes. They get paid. They have to worry about the tax part of that. And if they don't follow these rules, they could be declared ineligible. So that's pretty much how this is going to work. I think it's going to change a lot. That's what we know right now. And that's how we're going to operate, but it's going to probably be challenged in the courts, and we'll see a lot of creative ways to try to work around these rules. But right now, that's what we know so far. Any questions?
Joe, where did the impetus for this thing come from?
I think I'm sure there are other things, but what was said publicly is that most of the states already had a rule like this in place.
They hosted a webinar, IHSAA did, and athletic directors and school admin could be on that, and that is what they said, is we were one of the only states remaining that does not have some form of this. And so that was the reason. But they very clearly said that parts of this are still being spelled out, and you'll see some ebb and flow on what the rules and the pieces are, so to be prepared for that. The big important piece for schools at this point is to know that we cannot be a part of creating a booster that takes care of the money in the way a college does. And so we just have to be very transparent about that. And then keep up with the news release from HSAA, which Joe is watching it, very vigilant, and we'll share that information with parents as well.
Yeah, the big thing for the community is that schools are not involved, so don't call me asking, how can I help?
My biggest concern, you brought it up, is that, since in Indiana, you can take your kid to any school you want to take them to. So an athlete is not necessarily identified with a school. So, and if they're not supposed to try to get them to come to their town, how can we tell?
That's what I've said, there are gonna be creative ways of doing it, and we'll go through a lot of court.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joe. We appreciate your presentation. Okay, we'll move on down to professional staff.
Yes, I have the following recommendation, please. Damian Rigby, Jennings County Middle School volunteer boys and girls cross-country coach.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Pat. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and now we'll move down to permission to post educational support tutors.
Yes, I'm asking for approval for these support tutors. They will assist schools in intervention, small group activities, and classroom support. They are completely grant funded, pending grant approval from Title I.
Okay. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Chelsea. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and then St. Mary's Title Tutors.
Yes, this is a yearly approval. It's tutors for St. Mary's. It is through also Title I.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Pat. Do I have a second? Second from Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. And now we have staff professional development waiver days.
Yes, you will remember that we applied to and were granted from the state 3 days for professional development, that students do not come to school. They have a waiver for attendance. They do not have to make those days up, but all of our staff will report for training. This was part of our transition away from instructional coaching in every school, and it allows us to make sure to cover all of our important training for the year. So we were looking at calendar and planning on what professional development we had to do to decide on those dates. So I'm bringing those to you and asking for approval to add these to the calendars and get this information out to parents. So what we would like to do is use Monday, September 14th. We tried to make these days touch a weekend, so if parents needed that for childcare purposes, that they would have that possibility. And then Friday, February 12th. That's the same weekend that President's Day falls on that Monday. And then finally, Friday, April 16th. So asking for approval to use those days as our waiver days for professional development for the school year.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mary Lynn. Do I have a second? Second from Chelsea. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and then we have administrator contract recommendations.
Yes, I'm asking for approval for administrator contract recommendations as listed for the 26-27 school year, so this coming school year. This is an extension of contract. It does not involve any change of pay or benefits. It's simply extending the contract to cover the school year. So asking for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion from Pat. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and then we'll move down under support staff. Lisa has a couple for him.
Yes, please. Asking for approval of the following transfer. Christian Stewart, Jennings County Middle School Assistant Football Coach, to Jennings County High School Volunteer Assistant Football Coach.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Chelsea. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I'm also asking for approval of the following transfer. Mike Kelly, Jennings County Middle School Assistant Football Coach, to Jennings County High School Volunteer Assistant Football Coach.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Kurt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We'll move on to,
Recommendations?
yes, the recommendations is next.
Thank you. Asking for approval of the following recommendations. Braden Collins, Jennings County School Corps Summer Tech. Sarah Day, Jennings County High School Volunteer Girls Soccer Coach. Damian Dixon, Jennings County Middle School Boys Cross Country Coach. Catherine Holtz, Sand Creek Elementary Parapro. Terrence Moberly, Jennings County High School Assistant Girls Volleyball Coach. Lauren Pate, Graham Creek Elementary Parapro. Haley Profit, Jennings County High School Athletic Department Administrative Assistant. And I have a group of Jennings County School Corporation Youth Football Program volunteer coaches, including Luke Cockrell, Ryan Hinton, Robin Monday, Robert Morgan, Owen Miller, and Gary Tungett.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Pat. Do I have a second? Second from Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we'll move down to the classified 2026-2027 pay scales and steps for experience.
Yes, asking for approval to allow classified staff to take their step for experience when relevant for the 26-27 school year, and asking for a 25-cent increase to the base scale effective July 1st, 2026.
Okay, do I hear a motion? I have a motion from Chelsea. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and our next on the agenda is finance, and Philip will have this.
Yes, asking the board approval of the following donations. The high school expert eye care, PC, $200 for the girls soccer team. Jennings Church of Christ, $200 to the Panther Pantry. At the middle school, purchase of the class of 2031 and class of 2032 t-shirts. Lehman Hummel Insurance for $200 and NBIC at North Vernon for $250. And corporation, the Hope Food Program, BJ Eggleston, $225. First United Methodist Church for $50, and Kiwanis of North Vernon for $450, and also Jackson County Bank with backpacks and school supplies. Ask the board approval for all.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Kurt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Pat. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is the 2027 budget timeline.
Yes, it's hard to believe that we're 2027 budget's right around the corner. So the following timeline is where we're currently at on it. So tonight, obviously presenting the timeline, do the first presentation of the budget and the capital project budget and the bus replacement plan, all on the August 6th meeting, and then second presentation of all three of those on the August 20 meeting. On September 3rd, we'll do the advertisement of the budget, capital project plan, and the bus replacement plan, and that is no longer in the newspaper. It's in the Gateway site, and it's also on our website. the gateway automatically funnels to the state site. They made that change last year. So that would be September 3rd. Also on September 3rd, if needed, we'd have a potential third presentation, if that's needed. On September 17th, we'd have the hearing for all three, and then on October 1st, we would have the adoption of all three. And that's just an inform.
Okay,
Any questions? Timeline matches real similar to every year we've had.
thank you.
All right.
Okay, and the next on the list is property policy 7,000.
Yes, I'm asking the board to approve the following resolution. It's to dispose of surplus items, and this has to do in the IT area where we've just got a lot of very antiquated, very old, non-working equipment.
Do I hear a motion?
So,
I have a motion from Chelsea. Do I hear a second?
second.
Second from Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Moving on down, it looks like we have a transportation agreement, and Todd will present on this.
Yes, so we have a transportation agreement with the Indiana Department of Child Services. So this is a written transportation plan to ensure school stability for students experiencing foster care. So asking approval to approve or to agree to that transportation plan.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mary Lynn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Pat. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is an MOU with Indiana University, and Lisa will present on this.
Yes, this is a 4-year term agreement that begins this month, and that is for student teaching placements.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Pat. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Kurt. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we're down to other, it looks like. Do we have any other tonight?
Just a moment to say thank you to our custodians and maintenance staff who've been working very hard all summer to get the buildings in tip-top shape so we can welcome kids back here in just a short amount of time. And thanks to Lisa for all her work in HR to have us fully staffed. And so thank you to a lot of people who worked really hard this summer to make sure we're ready to welcome kids back shortly. We're excited.
Okay. Any other? Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I have a motion from Chelsea. Do I have a second? I have a second. Okay, all those in favor? I forgot to ask, did anybody want to discuss that? No. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Meeting dismissed.